City Council is a mess. Yeah, the Boston City Council is a mess, according to, yes, pundits, political pundits across the country. And yes, political pundits in Boston, Massachusetts, including myself, from the outside looking in, can only say that the Boston City Council seems to be in what? Yeah, Lisa Kaczynski over at political.com is calling it chaos. Yeah, the Boston City Council, as I said, seems to be some kind of mess. Soon, councilors could face the consequences for it. Yeah. In the past few weeks, let me tell you what has been going on. It has been eventful. Ricardo Arroyo paid $3,000 in penalties for violating the conflict of interest laws by representing his brother in a, get this, sexual harassment lawsuit after becoming a city councilor. Oh, there is more, my good friends. Kendra Laura, city councilor, crashed a car into a house and now faces a host of alleged motor vehicle violations, including driving with a revoked license. Yeah, city councilors are warring against each other, and the mayor with the budget that is almost cutting spending for police and veterans. The process was complete with walkouts, walk back votes, override attempts, and hurt feelings that showed that the council is dysfunctional and didn't end within a court-prompted redistricting redo. Allegations of racism have swirled within the body that has often divided in terms of, racial lines, and the sparring and spilling online as members mount their re-election bids and begin to position themselves for, get this, the next mayoralty race. Oh, expect some city councilors to run for mayor. Oh, there's no question. Hey, let's talk about one of those folks that may actually run for mayor at some point. Yeah. Council President Ed Flynn, who has alternated between acting like a dad and trying to quell the warring siblings to stoking divisions of, bankrolling the lawsuit that nixed the city's first redistricting map. Hold on, and there's more. Yeah. He has been slammed by Aurora and Laura in a statement Wednesday for continuing to draw negative attention to the body through a troubling ethical and legal lapses. But he stopped short of calling for their resignations, telling the Boston Herald that discipline is not something I have considered yet. Well, hold on. There's more, my good friends, about this Boston City Council. Hours later, Councilor Michael Flynn has called it quits. 20-year council veteran and top vote getter in several of the at-large contests stunned Boston political class by withdrawing his name for re-election after much deliberation, he says, and self-reflection. Flaherty didn't mention the ongoing drama, but he didn't need to, my good friends, because the drama is real. The body is so dysfunctional that it is driving good people from running and serving, says Michael Flaherty. One city councilor insider has said that the playbook it's a playbook. It's no surprise. The announcement is a complete clown show, says one City Hall insider. Well, I think it's a clown show too, myself. Oh, now there's going to be some people that when I talk about this particular issue, folks may get upset with me, but I guess what? They will get upset. Yeah. Boston City Councilor Kendra Lara clocked a more than double speed limit before she, yes, hit a house and crashed into a Jamaica Plain house, my good friends. Yeah. I don't even know where to start with this one. Yeah, a newly obtained police report alleges that the city councilor was traveling at a high rate of speed during a heavy pedestrian and vehicular traffic when she slammed into a Jamaica Plain house late last month, causing her son to bleed profusely. Yeah. That's what's in the report, my good friends. I'm not making this stuff up. The police report, which was filed on July 5th, finds that Laura, city councilor, Laura was driving the Honda Civic involved in a crash at the minimum speed of 53 miles per hour. The road says 25 miles per hour limit and could have been traveling as fast as 59.29 miles per hour. How do they know this? Data, trajectory, how much power. You know, there's researchers, there's people in the Boston Police Department and with the state and federal government that actually do car crashes and analyze car crashes and know what speeds people had to be, doing based on impact analysis. That's a fact. The initial police report obtained by, get this, the Boston Herald on the day of June 30th crash alleged that Laura was driving an unregistered vehicle and her license had been revoked. Oh, there's more stuff. There's more stuff on this stuff, this political craziness. Yeah. This is, I say it, it's political suicide in many ways, what this city councilor has done. But I could be wrong. I could be right. And actually, I think I'm right on this one. This is political suicide for someone to do something like this. But guess what? I have my opinion and you have yours. I'm interested in your opinion. On the bottom of, I guess, one of these sides, you can see the call-in information. You can call in. You got the number. It's right on the back of me right there. So just call in and let me know what you think about this situation. Oh, there's so much to unpack with this. Yeah, the city councilor Laura is scheduled to be in municipal court in West Roxbury on July 19th on the charges. A new report also explains why Laura's license has been revoked. She had a citation from August 19th. Get this, 2010, for registration not in possession of a seatbelt violation, and had her license suspended on April 9th, 2013 for failing to pay the fine for the seatbelt violation. I don't get it, my good friends. I don't get why a city councilor, and I know some people are going to say something different, and I'm going to talk about what other people are saying on the Boston City Council, but when do we hold people accountable? Boston, when do we hold people accountable? Actually, when do you hold people accountable, Boston. This is no joke, my good friends. The report explains why her license was revoked, violations back in 2010, and suspension of the license in 2013. Oh, there is more. While her Massachusetts license was suspended, she was cited in Connecticut on March 3rd, 2015, for which her license was suspended there. Massachusetts then revoked her license because a state law, get this, a state law requires indefinite suspension until the right to operate has been restored in the other state or jurisdiction, police report states. So here's the deal. I'm not going to try to make a big deal about it, but it's a big deal, my good friends. Here's the deal. Her license was suspended in Connecticut. Massachusetts essentially reciprocated Connecticut and said, hey, guess what? You don't have a license in Connecticut because of infractions. You're not going to come to Massachusetts and continue those infractions. Pay your debt, clean your record, and all will be fine. But that didn't happen, my good friends. That did not happen. There's more. A witness who appears to be the operator of the vehicle, Laura initially told police she swerved to avoid, said that he was preparing to exit his parking space to go to the library when he saw the Civic operating at high speed on Center Street and Ballard Street. He was afraid the vehicle was going to strike his vehicle before it made a hard left and into 803 Center Street. The report notes that from photographs taken on the scene, there was no evidence of braking was observed. So, you know, there's skid marks that you would see if you were attempting to brake, but that wasn't happening as well. Oh, I'm just going based on the police report, my good friends. I'm not saying that this actually happened. I'm just saying that the report is saying what it says. The police officer who drafted the report wrote he went to Precision Towing and found that only the rear passenger side seat belt of the vehicle was locked and could not be moved, which is an effect of the belts when the airbags are deployed. As they were in this case, says the officer. The officer also notes that the driver's seat belt could not be moved freely, suggesting that Laura was once again in violation of seatbelt laws. There's a city councilor, my good friends, and unfortunately, I don't know this city councilor, but what I'm reading is not nice. What I'm telling you right now is not nice. What I read in that police report is not nice. Yeah. There is even more, my good friends. More. The officer also observed multiple bloodstains in the front armrest of the motor vehicle, as well as small spots in the rear passenger side of the seat near the headrest. While Laura did not appear to have any physical injuries, her son, unfortunately, Zaire, who is 7, whose name was redacted from the report, has a laceration on the left eyebrow, which was bleeding profusely. Sad news there. Laura, who issued an apology on July 8th in which she admits to being in the crash, adding, "We all are accountable for our actions, and I'm confident and I'm no different. So I offer my sincerest apologies to everyone, especially the people of D6." Wow. That's all I can say, my good friends, is wow. What is going on in this situation that would cause a city councilor to essentially ignore all of these laws? It's not fair. It's not good, my good friends. And it's definitely not fair. Well, I say it's not fair, but other people are wondering what will happen against this Boston City Councilor. And by the way, the chaos in the city council itself, what is going to happen? Well, one city resident ain't having none of it. One city resident is not having any of this, particularly related to the accident involving city councilor Kendra Lara. A city resident has filed a complaint in the Boston Election Department challenging the residency of District 6 Councilor Kendra Lara. Oh, you knew that this was going to spiral. I'm not sure if it's a good spiral or a bad spiral, but it is going to spiral. The complaint filed Thursday evening and obtained by, the Boston Herald, you know how the Herald plays, states that the resident is formally challenging the residency of District Councilor Kendra Lara, also known as Kendra Hicks, from District 6 of the Boston City Council. The challenge could trigger a review from the Boston Election Commission. Laura is seeking a second term and faces two challenges in the September 12th preliminary election. There's more. There's more. Laura has denied the allegation, saying that the Herald, well, she said to the Herald, the Boston Herald, that she lives in the district she represents at the address listed in her campaign filings at the Boston Election Commission and the Boston Election Department, and a voter registration form. You see, 46 St. Rose Street, public information, is a multifamily home in Jamaica Plain. "That's my home," says Laura. "I moved into the apartment in February. Prior to that, Laura said she lived at 161 South Huntington Avenue in Jamaica Plain for 6 years. That complex, the Bell Olmsted Park, is a income restricted housing through the Boston Planning and Development Agency." Laura has addressed those rumors, and she says she's staying with her friend outside of Boston, stating that she was at her listed address in Jamaica Plain while speaking with the Boston Herald on Thursday evening. "I'm literally in my house with my kid," Laura said. "Why would I be spending time in Somerville?" Laura has declined to comment, however, on statements made by city spokesperson confirming that the District 6 councilor was seen on security footage regularly driving into City Hall garage with a revoked license. Yeah, I can't make this stuff up, my good friends. I have put out a statement, and I will refer you back to that statement that the office put out, said Laura. If we have any other comments to make, then we will reach out to you and let you know. But the reality is that this is a case that is being heard in court, and I'm going to make my comment about that case later. Yeah. Laura, who's 33, is due to appear, as I indicated earlier, over in West Roxbury Division Municipal Court on July 19th for a clerk magistrate's hearing in connection with the June 30th crash, which the counselor is alleged to have driven an unregistered, uninsured car into the Center Street home on Jamaica Plain. She is facing charges of driving a revoked driver's license, which, according to police documents, has first been suspended back in, as I indicated earlier, 2013, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, my good friends. Her license was revoked in Massachusetts, who cited Connecticut back in 2015. Amid the questions now to Laura was also the question of if she was driving to City Hall and parking at the City Hall garage under a revoked license. Oh, the drama. City Councilor President Ed Flynn requested a review of employee parking privileges through the Boston Property Management Division. Specifically, Flynn was seeking a review to whether city councilors, staff, and any other City of Boston employees parking is on the executive garage or the Donley garage was required to provide verification of a valid driver's license, a copy of the registration, and insurance. By the way, if you're stopped by a police officer, don't you have to submit all that stuff? Your driver's license, a copy of your registration, and your insurance? Well, why shouldn't a city councilor be able and responsible for providing that resource if they want to park into a garage? That's reasonable, particularly if it's an executive garage. You want to make sure, and actually you want to make sure now, in response to public records request by the Boston Globe seeking camera footage of the executive garage, city officials reviewed the footage and confirmed that Councilor Laura drove a dark gray Honda Civic into and out of the garage regularly. A city spokesman told the Herald on Thursday, hey, guess what? If you were Joe Smo, average citizen, would you get over with that for 10 years, not having a driver's license? It does go to the credibility of the city councilor. That's my opinion. I could be right. The Boston Globe was informed that the city is not going to be releasing the footage at this time, while the city reviews the records request for potential security exemptions, says a City Hall spokesperson. The car's description matches the one described in the police report from June 30th that was previously reported in the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, Political, and every other newspaper outlet out there. And also reported probably on Boston Black News. I know Boston Black News has been reporting it at some time this week or in the past weeks. But I'm here to talk about it just a little more. Sad that her son, Zaire, was not in the car seat as required by the law. Laura has issued an apology, as I indicated, for the crash. And she indicates that we are all accountable for our actions. She indicates that we are all accountable for our actions. Now, the question is she going to be held accountable for her actions? And by the way, it's going to be up to the voters of Boston and her district. I understand that there's a couple of people running against her. I'm not sure that she can get the confidence of, the voters of District 6, but we'll invite her on this program for clarification, and hopefully she'll be able to come on and talk with us in a candid way about this issue and other issues impacting the city of Boston and the Boston City Council and that chaotic Boston City Council. Laura cannot continue to be unchecked. Accountability is it. And I guess she's saying the accountability will happen election day. And if she gets the support of the majority of voters, then the question is moot. It's over. It's done. The voters have spoken on her being a city councilwoman on the Boston City Council. If she wins the election, it becomes a moot issue. For the voters will have spoken. But the legal ramifications may continue. And as one citizen has indicated, the question of her residency will have to be dealt with in the court system or with the Boston Election Commission or department. Voters will soon head to the polls for the city's September and November municipal contests or elections. This will tell us if these challenges that this city council is having, this will tell us if other city councilors may be run out of office the fact of the matter is that 5 out of the 9 district councilors have challengers. According to the city's elections department, Flynn, Gabriella, Coletta, and Brian Worrell are so far unopposed. Again, Flynn, Gabriella, Coletta, and Brian Worrell are so far unopposed. Sounds like they're doing their work for their constituencies. Fact is, Arroyo has 3 opponents. Rosendale's Enrique Pepin is executive director of the mayor's neighborhood services team. Hyde Park police officer Jose Reyes and Mattapan activist Jean-Claude Sanone are all competing for Arroyo's seat. Arroyo has more money banked than any of his challengers, though Pepin and Reyes outraised him in June. oddly, Arroyo's campaign website still says he's running for district attorney. I guess he's going to change that up pretty soon. Guess what? Laura has two challengers. William King, a past at-large candidate from West Roxbury who would draw votes from part of the district that Laura is weakest in. And Benjamin Weber, a workers' rights attorney from Jamaica Plain. Neither Laura nor Aurora Aurora is commenting at this point regarding their two challengers. We're going to try to get William King on this broadcast. We're also going to try and invite Benjamin Weber on this broadcast as well, so that they can lay out what they plan to do for the district. And obviously, Felix Aurora, Mr. Aurora and Laura as well. We're going to invite all of them onto the broadcast. That's an open invitation for those that are listening, those candidates or those candidates' representatives that are listening to this broadcast. That's an open invitation to come on in and appear on this broadcast, All Things Black Politics. I'm your host, Leon Rock, and we're talking politics in Boston. From time to time, I go around the country and talk about politics and its impact, on Boston. But this time I'm talking about the politics of Boston and the chaos that is happening in the Boston City Council. Oh, yeah. I've covered this whole issue of City Councilor Laura actually, going into a building, crashing into a building and not having a license, registration, insurance, and all the rest of that stuff. Man, I don't even know what to say anymore. The politicians are attempting to rebound in some ways from the bad press and personal troubles that they have had. But I'll tell you what, there's one city councilor back in the day, actually, that I respect, had integrity. And by the way, there are Black city councilors that I have had respect for. Tom Atkins, back in the day, Boston City Council, he would have never allowed this type of madness to happen. And then there's, the city council out of Mattapan that I have utmost of respect for. Then there was Larry DeCara. Remember him? He was a Boston City Councilor many years ago. Larry DeCara is saying that anything can happen in an off-year election when the turnout is lower in small numbers. Votes can be, have a dramatic impact. So he is essentially saying it's up for grabs, that everyone better be counting votes, because if they're not counting votes, they may be out. That's a fact, my good friends. This is All Things Black Politics. I'm Leon Rock, and I'm talking politics, and more politics. I'm talking about the challenges of the Boston City Council and the craziness and chaos in the Boston City Council, and what needs to be done about it. What can Black folks in particular, but because I like talking about the Black community of Boston, but in the community at large in the city of Boston, what can be done, my good friends, to hold people accountable for their action or inaction? Their action or their inaction. Their actions are not nice. And their inaction is equally not nice. I'll tell you, there actually was a conversation yesterday on Sister Priscilla's program. And Sister Priscilla was talking at length about the dysfunction of the Boston City Council and who we elect to public office in the city of Boston and what needs to be done differently. Here's the deal. This is what needs to be done differently. We have to really learn how to select representatives that have not their own personal interest in mind, but the voters' interest in mind. The old adage, when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Did you hear me? When someone tells you who they are through their actions or inaction, believe them. City councilors on the Boston, not all, by the way, not all. I'm not going to give a blanket, horrible review of the Boston City Council, but I'll say some of the city councilors and how they are interacting and acting out in community is ludicrous, crazy, chaotic, and should cost people their ability to actually be a public servant on the Boston City Council. They can do public service other places, but not necessarily the Boston City Council. It's chaotic, my good friends. And it should cost Boston City councilors on the ballot, those that are acting a fool. I'm not going to tell you who the ones are that are acting a fool. I just report it. And you make the decision to if they're acting a fool. I want to get Ricardo Arroyo back on our program. He's a very nice man. He ran for attorney general, from what I recollect. Oh, district attorney, and was not able to successfully get that job. But he's got a same job that he's had for a while, and that is he is a city councilor. I do want to delve into the issue of Ricardo Arroyo, as I reported earlier, having to pay that $3,000 penalty for violating the conflict of interest laws by representing his brother in a sexual harassment lawsuit after becoming a city councilor. Well, if my brother's a lawyer, I want my brother to represent me. So I don't, Ricardo Arroyo, attorney, Ricardo Arroyo, you did the right thing in representing your brother. I would. But the question is, was it a conflict of interest? And obviously it was, because it's your brother. And you could have told your brother to, excuse me, actually, you could have been on his team in the background but not legally represent him. I want to talk about that with Ricardo Arroyo. He can give clarifications, I'm sure. I'm sure Kendra Lara and her crash into a house in JP, from what I understand, who is facing all sorts of alleged motor vehicle violations, including the driving of a revoked license. I'd love to hear from her, maybe after the court appearance. I would love to hear from her on this issue of motor vehicle violations and the issue of accountability. I'm sure you would too. That's why I'm inviting her on this program, All Things Black Politics, live here from Washington, D.C. and on Boston Black News. We want to hear from the folks that represent communities of color and what they are doing right and wrong, because there's a whole bunch of right going on in the city of Boston's city council chambers, I'm sure. But these council controversies are just embarrassing for the city. It's embarrassing for the city councilors that are doing the right thing. And it's a total embarrassment for the people on the city council that are doing the wrong thing. Let's hold everyone accountable for their inaction or their action. Oh, wait a minute. Let's change topics just for a minute. We got about 15 minutes in this broadcast. Harvard University. We talked about this last week. I just want to bring this one up. Remember the Supreme Court made a decision that affirmative action as we know it in education is done. Harvard University, where one of the students that didn't get admitted to Harvard filed that complaint and brought it up all the way to the Supreme Court. Now we're learning that Harvard University, well, we knew for a long time that it had this legacy admissions. Well, some in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts aren't having these legacy admissions anymore. A bill in Massachusetts seeks to take rich colleges that favor families of alumni and donors in admissions policy, namely Harvard University, and give the money to the poorer community colleges. That's what legislation is today. A legislator or legislators in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are saying, stop giving state money to these super rich colleges that have alumni donations and donors getting legacy admissions. Why are we giving that money? Why is the Commonwealth giving that money to the richer colleges like Harvard University? Why not give the money to the poorer community colleges? I'm not going to say the term, maybe the terminology poorer, economically challenged community colleges. Yeah. The legislation targets, get this, Harvard, Williams College, and a half a dozen other schools that have preferences for students whose parents attended the college. They're called legacies or legacy admissions, and they meet a threshold of current endowments value per student legacy admissions. We got to do something about it. I'm glad that legislators in Massachusetts are doing something. I wonder in that legislation, I'm going to look at it and detail it at probably the next broadcast, is to find out which legislators are supporting this bill. I'm interested to see if it actually is Black legislators or Latino legislators that have submitted this bill for consideration in the House and the Senate. Well, in Boston, there's more. Let's segue to another conversation, and that is Hillary Clinton. I always wondered where Hillary Clinton has gone. She's been quiet during the whole time of, the guy that I don't like to say his name. You know who it is. Yeah, Donald Trump. Well, anyway, former Secretary of State and ex-presidential candidate Hillary Clinton is headlining a list of speakers at the NAACP convention in Boston later this month. Joining the former First Lady at the convention is a speakers list of interesting politicals and others. Well, Ayanna Pressley, Congresswoman, will be there. Tennessee Representative Justin Jones will be there, all speaking at the convention. Yeah. There's also some interesting conversation about the NAACP convention. Money is going to come into Boston, huge amounts of dollars, but is all that money going to be spent in downtown or near the convention center and not get trickled down into the neighborhoods of Boston? I'll tell you, I don't think so. You see, each year, the NAACP members and friends gather at the convention, and the CEO of the NAACP, the president, Derek Johnson, is saying that the NAACP convention, now more than ever, is convening to continue the fight for the preservation of democracy. And he says also that he's excited to bring vitality and vibrance to the roots in Boston, home of the association's first chartered branch. Well, that's all well and good, but where is the money going? Is the money ever going to go into the African American communities of Boston, the neighborhoods? I doubt it, because I don't think there was ever a real plan. Let me tell you who's going to be speaking at the NAACP convention. Siobhan Arlene Bradley, President and CEO of the National Council of Negro Women, Kimbrae Crenshaw, a scholar with the civil rights activists, Gary Chambers, a social justice advocate, Bishops Fashante McKenzie, author of The Journey to the Wall, Rome Flynn, an actor with Netflix Raising Dion, Cheryl Underwood, the comedian who I enjoy. She hosts ABC's The Talk. She's going to be there. Jabri Banks, actor on Peacock's The Bel Air, program. Adrian Holmes, actor with the Bel Air as well. Jasmine Guy with The Different World. Lamont Rocker, actor of Greenleaf. And Essence Atkins, an actress with BET's First Wives Club. Marcus Scribner, an actor with Grownish and Blackish. Kadeem Hardison of The Different World, and Danielle Ponder. She's Danielle Ponder, a singer. The convention theme is thriving together. Elected officials, activists, organizers, faith-based leaders, entertainers, change makers, NAACP members, and local residents will convene to celebrate the Black community's collective power. Well, that's what was said in a press release from the NAACP. My question, and it will remain my question, is do these activities, all these workshops and plenary sessions and panel discussions, all this stuff, will it impact in any way in the African-American community of Boston? Will it? Affirmative action, police brutality, reproductive rights, voter suppression, all that stuff is important. But I'll tell you another thing that is important, that when the NAACP or other organizations come into the African-American community or are part of a conversation, we should make sure that money that comes into a city trickles down into the neighborhoods, and the NAACP, both the Boston branch, and I'm sure they attempted to do something, I hope they did, and the national office need to have plans for impact of the African-American community. Actually, in some ways, the NAACP should have reached out to Black churches and had events in the Black church, because that's kind of sort of the meeting place for African Americans. And actually, they should have brought that in some ways into Black neighborhoods, period. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe, just maybe, I could be wrong, and something was done. Doubt it. This is All Things Black Politics. We are coming down to about a couple of minutes in this broadcast. I was corrected on something. I missaid, I guess, Ricardo Arroyo's name. Ricardo Arroyo. Got to get that down. Well, we have had the conversation today about the chaos at the Boston City Council. Who's responsible for the chaos? A whole bunch of folks. We're going to talk to a whole bunch of folks, both candidates and current elected city councilors, over the next few weeks and months as we go through to the September and November elections. We're going to double and triple our efforts to get folks